Hi, welcome to the RAMS Agents Production Coaching Call. The goal of the call is to help you sell more homes by maximizing your repeat and referral closings by implementing the Referral Agent Mastery System into your practice. My name is Mike Cerrone, co-founder of RAMS Agents, and my co-host is Angela Newman, a master trainer of RAMS Agents. Hello, Angela. How are you today?
Hello, good morning, everybody. I am so happy to be here on the production call today.
Fantastic. Good to have you here, Angela. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and jump into our call. So our first question is, who has some good news they'd like to share?
I always feel like I've got all this good news. I'm like, come on, how can I always have this good news to share? But I do, in fact, have good news. Monty and I think I mentioned on our last week, oh, Captain Fantastic is joining us. um, we got this listing in Quarry Park, it's called. So it was just through being in the neighborhood previously and like keeping in touch with these folks. We were super stoked, got the listing going. Had actually somebody come in on a sign call, which is like, I swear, the ones that you're like, oh, we'll see how it goes. But I've always been trepidatious about sign calls, and I have like a list of questions to qualify and whatnot. I'll be darned if these folks weren't legitimate buyers. We sat down with them. The home that we had listed was not the right one for them. We showed them the one other listing in Quarry Park. We wrote an offer on it last night, and it's a beauty one. And I said to Monty, like, hey, this is a reminder that every single call that comes in, we qualify and we, make sure it's a good lead and we can make it happen. But everyone is a potential client that we're going to work just the same as though it was a referral, let's say. So it was a great reminder for us to, the value of even a sign call can be a convertible lead. So yeah, we're really stoked about this one.
Wow, that is fantastic, Steve. That
Mhm.
is good news. That is great news. Congratulations. Good job being open to the opportunities that are out there. That's part of it, isn't it? Um, I'll just add on to that sign calls have always been one of the best buyer lead sources out there, bar none. And in today's world, it's probably even stronger than it's been in the past. But most old timers know that a sign call is a very motivated buyer. They're driving through neighborhoods looking for opportunities. Um, and in today's world, where they can get all the information online at their fingertips, if they call the listing agent from a sign, they are typically very motivated. So I'm really glad you picked up on that opportunity, and I advise you and everyone else to continue to look for those opportunities from sign calls. You should get on those right away. Uh, like any lead, you have to qualify. You had the right answer there, Steve. It could be anything, but the probabilities go way up. I would take a sign call over an internet lead, for instance, any day of the week. Just as far as quality, I would think that the options or the odds of the quality being higher is way higher, is way, is just higher with a sign call. Um, and I'm really excited for you. So congratulations, good job. And how quick was that? You listed when and you found that buyer when? How quickly did that turn into something?
So we listed on Thursday. The sign call came in on Friday. And interestingly, you talked about being responsive. It was all about how responsive we were. It was immediately being, there with information, answering the phone, and that's what they commented. That we were right there, ready to answer, ready to talk, ready to be on the phone, and that was key. Actually, how responsive Monica was.
So let's break that down a little bit. So the sign call came in. Did you answer the sign call or did they end up in voicemail?
Monica answered. Yeah, so we kind of have a policy, despite all the scam calls that we get in Canada. I'm sure you guys get them in the States. I will answer my phone in almost all cases. It has to be a pretty extreme scenario where I'm like, no, can't take this call. And then immediately I hope they leave a voicemail and we'll call back. And if not, I'll call the number back. And that's when I usually realize it was a scam call.
And Steve, how many homes did you sell last year?
We sold 34 last year.
Right. Yeah, I bring
Yeah.
that up because people say, oh, geez, I don't want to answer my phone. Okay, well, that's fine, but you won't sell 34 homes.
Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah.
answer your phone. You got to be ready to take those opportunities in. So congratulations. Let's see, one other thought real quick, because this is such a strong one. Listings are wonderful, and you should always look for them and be more open to them because they open up the door of other opportunities. There was an old idea from the old timers. We can learn a lot from them. And that basically, if you got a listing, that was going to be 2 to 3 sales because of exactly what just happened, right? You still have the listing, you can still get that sold. You've just found a buyer through your marketing of that listing. And the thing that buyers want to see most are listings, right? And so if you control that listing, you're going to find the buyers will find you.
Like it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you betcha. Well, that's fantastic news. That was really good start. Thank you, Steve. All right, who else has some good news they'd like to share?
I my voice is about gone, so I will be very brief, but excuse me. Saturday evening, I went to a birthday party. Uh it was a 50th birthday party for a friend of mine, and his family was there and everything, and he has referred me a couple of uh opportunities this past year. A couple of listing. Oh, well, no, I'm sorry. One was a listing, one was a buyer. Anyway, the buyer was his daughter and son-in-law. So I go in, it's at a restaurant, bar, and I didn't get there until 10 o'clock at night. It started at 6, but I had other things. They knew that. So I got there at 10. So I say that so that you know that they had already been drinking a good bit at the bar. And I walk into the room and it's a pretty big place, but the daughter who I just sold a house to, we closed in January. She spots me from the bar and jumps up and yells out, "My realtor!" and comes running across the room. "Hey, everybody, my realtor's here." And so it was just fun. And anyway, so then her husband was there and she said, "Have you seen it, Jackson?" So we talked for a little while and they told me how much they loved the house. And anyway, it was funny and she was introducing me to others as her realtor. So uh, that was a fun little success story.
Blake, that is fantastic. That is fantastic. Congratulations. Uh, Obviously, you must have done a really great job in your work with them. They have good feelings about you. Remember, it always comes back to emotion. They have really good feelings about you in their heart. They shared that directly with you and with the other people in the room. That had to just be a great experience for you. Um, and a wonderful thing for you to share. Um, it makes me think about a lot of the top agents will do a housewarming party for their people that they help purchase a home for that exact reason. And just real quickly, the concept is somebody buys a house with you, and you tell them along the process, hey, one of the things I do for folks, if you want it, is we'll do a housewarming party for you. Well, we will provide the food. You invite the people. In fact, if you give me their names and addresses, I'll send out the invitations to them. And then you now increased your sphere, by the way, your database, and you invite their friends to the party on the date that it's set for. You provide the food. You usually have it catered in by some company. You know, you give them a couple different options of what the option of what they can get, food, like a sandwich or a pizza or whatever, something you can serve to a lot of people, barbecue for a lot of different options. And you have that set up in the property maybe 30 minutes before the party's supposed to start. And you invite all those people to come in and join. And then the typical scenario I hear is the agent is not there during the party, but they will do a pop-in, right? They'll just kind of swing in the middle of the party, just saying, hey, I just want to make sure you guys got everything, you got all the food, and everybody was happy. And I've heard that exact same kind of story that you just shared, where you walk in and you're a celebrity, and the homeowner, the new homeowner, is telling everybody what a wonderful person you are as their new agent and introducing you to their friends, and your sphere is growing. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind in the future if you're ambitious and you like doing parties and those kind of events. I've heard multiple top agents do that as part of their marketing efforts. Again, this idea of pouring back into your people to get more repeat and referrals. Anybody do that today? Anybody do a housewarming party? Angela, you've done those?
So I did one a couple of years ago. I can't believe it's been that long, but I think it's been 2 years ago with a buyer that we actually knew. And the same thing kind of happened. Now I didn't, I offered a couple of options and they wanted to cook their own barbecue. So I brought the desserts and same thing happened when I walked in. They were a little bit closer friends. So it was definitely somebody I felt comfortable with showing up and hanging out for a while. But they were like, hey, here's my realtor, Angela, and introducing me to everybody. So, and that was a lot of fun.
That is cool. That's awesome. If you do go down that path, you may bring food, dessert, maybe drinks. Let me be clear on that one though. If you bring drinks, I recommend just like soda pop or tea or something. I don't recommend alcohol, just because of the potential liability issue of if somebody got drunk, drove away, and got in an accident. Okay, so I wouldn't recommend alcohol, but the other, and if they want to do that, that's fine. That's up to them. But I wouldn't want to participate in that part. However, the food I think is a great idea. And anyway, it's just another idea, just something to kind of put in your cap and remember. You may want to implement that into your program. All right, cool. That was great. Thank you for sharing, Blake. Who else has some good news that they'd like to share?
I'll share that I had my closing Friday and went to Oklahoma City for it. Now, I was debating on whether or not to do that. And then on the way, Kathy, who is my agent partner there, had a family emergency. She wasn't going to be at the closing. And so it worked out really well because I hadn't seen the seller in a few years and really wanted to reconnect with him. And we were able to sit down and talk before the closing. He said that he would be ready to buy something and maybe start looking in the next 2 weeks in Tulsa. And so that was great. He texted me yesterday and asked me, I talked about that I had lender partners. When he's ready, I'll connect him with those. They can just talk pool and see what he's pretty qualified for. And he texted me yesterday and asked me, can you send me those lender partner information? So yay.
That's awesome. Congratulations, Angela. It really brings home the point that it all comes down to conversations, right? These opportunities pop up during conversations. So you went there for closing, you're sitting down and chatting, all of a sudden you find out this person's also going to be buying. And that's another opportunity that just popped open. Now, for our longtime listeners, because we're recording this so other people may be listening as well. So for our longtime listeners, they may know that Angela is working in 2 markets. So I've heard of people doing this before and asking about it. And so open up your ears if you're one of those folks right now as I ask Angela the next couple questions. So Angela, you're working in two markets. You're living in Houston. You used to live in Tulsa. And so you're actually working real estate in both markets. This was in Tulsa where you don't live. That's where the closing was. And you just said you're going to work with this gentleman to purchase a property in 2 weeks. How are you going to do that? Are you going to travel to the other market, or are you going to do it some other way? Are you going to split yourself in two? You're going to put yourself on a copy machine? What are you going to do?
So this sale was actually in a third market. It was in Oklahoma City, which is a couple of hours away from Tulsa. And I had the pleasure to work with Kathy previously on trying to help another seller in the Oklahoma City area. So I had a contact there that I trust and I've already kind of set up a relationship with. In the Tulsa market, I also have people in my group where I am able to ask them, to help me with showings, open doors, even partner with if it was, if I needed more than that. So we talked about that in our conversation with the client, and I let him know that I have a couple of people, said their names, and that they would be my boots on the ground there in Tulsa when he's ready to look. I'll do the buyer video. I'll do a video buyer consultation appointment over Zoom and even set him up on the searches. I can be the eyes for the properties. I can do a lot of the work here in Houston. I just can't open the doors. So that's where I'll ask my partners to do that.
So you're going to not just refer this away. You're not going to refer this to another agent. You're going to maintain control, and you're going to run as the agent, doing the comp work, setting up the showings, which showings would happen. And then somebody else will be the showing partner. They're going to actually bring him in and out of the doors. And then once they discover a property that works, they're going to hand it back to you to negotiate the transaction and bring it to close. Am I getting that correct?
Correct. And I've done that several times here since I've been in Houston. And it's really amazing how much work I can do from here. And really the in-person stuff is being there for inspections and opening the doors.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So, and you said you've done this multiple times. I imagine somebody listening would have the question, what do you tell the client? Now, how do you set this up? You started to go down the path, but if you were talking to me and I'm the potential buyer and you're explaining the arrangement so that I feel comfortable with it, how would you start that conversation? What would you tell me is going to happen?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, usually it's with a PCSOI. Well, it really is almost always with a PCSOI. So they have a little bit of trust in me already. I did one with a lease property in the Tulsa area not too long ago, and I didn't know that person at all. Never met him, never did meet him, still haven't met him. He lived, and it was interesting because he was in Dallas. I'm in Houston, and the house was in Bixby. And so you have to set expectations, tell them what's going to happen, how you can help them, and explain every step of it. And so
it sounds like you have the vision in your mind of how it will work, and now you've done it a couple times, but you've got the vision in your mind, and then you just relay that. And you use the words boots on the ground. They're going to be my boots on the ground, but I will be, I assume you say things like, I'll be with you the entire time. I'll be with you. I'm a phone call away, just like I always have been, right?
Exactly. Yes. And so with that lease property, I scheduled the photos to be taken. I had somebody in the area put up a key box and a sign. I had all of that delivered, and they just went and put it up. and got keys and had keys made. And then I did everything for putting it in the MLS, putting it, making sure Zillow was correct and everything, um, scheduling the showings, and then asking other people to go do the showings, and then helped him with the processing of the lease and qualification, setting all that up. So was able to help him pretty much with most everything, except for actually putting the sign in the ground, taking the photos, which I hired a photographer to do that, and doing the showings.
So,
And I told him all of that. I told him every step of the way. We met through Zoom. We saw each other. So,
so you're using Zoom to get to face. That's probably
mhm,
another good element, a positive element, because we see so much in people's faces as they're talking and communicating with us. Um, uh, one more question, and that is when they're doing the showing for a buyer or a listing appointment for a seller, do you have your boots on the ground, have you on the phone, as like a
mhm,
FaceTime or a Zoom call
mhm,
where they're seeing you and you're seeing them, or do you come in after the fact and just kind of get a
mhm,
report of what happened?
mhm. For a listing, not so much because I've already seen video of the house and I know the house well. So it's more of, is this buyer, the buyer motivation and qualification. But on a purchase, yes, most of the time I will be on a Zoom call, so I'm able to give any feedback that I see and ask questions.
So you're sitting at home during the showings, or
Hmm.
just when they make the final selection of the property?
Um, Usually with the showings, unless there's a whole bunch of showings, then maybe I won't be there for all of them. But definitely, if it's a single showing or they've narrowed it down to a single property.
Okay, so you're not going to be on the phone for an hour while they're driving around in the car and they're talking
No.
about the weather. Okay, I'm just trying to paint a picture for people what this kind of looks like. Um, for people that may be looking at it, getting into it, they're already into it, or just in something in the back of our mind if we ever end up in that situation. Um, I, I've talked to people over the years as an example who have become I'm trying to think of the right word, immobile. They can't move anymore, okay, because of illness or an injury. Multiple examples I can think of in my head. And they've tried to solve this problem, right? Their mind is spinning and they can still operate, they just can't move out of their spot. And so this is another way for them to continue to operate in real estate with the technology of being able to see somebody, but have somebody else be the boots on the ground, showing people properties and going to put up signs, as you just said. So again, just something to keep in the back of our mind because we never know what kind of situation we're going to bump into, right? So cool. Angela, that was great information and a great experience. Thank you for sharing. All right, cool. Anybody else have some good news they'd like to share?
So yesterday I was able to get back on the doors for the first time this calendar year, and that was a really good feeling to get back out there in the swing of things, and I feel like I'm getting back to myself a bit. I was a bit lost in the sauce a few months there trying to figure out what to do and doing things that didn't really mesh with my character or my personality. But to be back out there hustling and like getting on the doors is good. So just looking to continue that this week. The kids are on March break and wife's sick today, so some limited hours, but just looking to keep it going and build that momentum. But it was good. I got some decent conversations and the most conversations I had in a day all year. So definitely going to be sticking with this and just keep moving forward.
Tristan, how many doors did you knock? How many conversations did you get into?
Um, 52 knocks, 21 conversations.
52 knocks and how many conversations?
21.
21. So 40% of the doors are opening up for you. Just for people to think, door knocking doesn't work. Nobody answers the door anymore. That's pretty good. 4 out of 10, right? 20 conversations that you didn't have the day before. Did you find any interesting conversations?
Um, Not really. I feel like I'm also a little bit rusty in my not objection handling, but in my rebuttals to keep the conversation flowing. But I know like when I get back in the swing of things, that skill's gonna come back. But I'm also optimistic too because my sales partner or sales associate on my team, she got the listing from someone that she just left a card. So I know like, sometimes business isn't even just gonna come from the conversations, or it might come a few months later after you have a conversation, someone's situation might change. So the important thing is just keep getting out there and not get too caught up in the outcomes, but just focus more so on the process.
Very good. Very good. Tristan, did you collect any contact information yesterday?
No, I didn't. I tried a new script in the middle, but I was fumbling a little bit. So I still need a bit more practice and rehearsal with the new script and the new approach.
Yeah, thank you for being open and honest about the actual experiences, right? And how they work. They're not always perfect. Um, Good. And I advise you to continue to challenge yourself with the new script and the new idea. I assume that being that you're looking for now business, if somebody says, hey, yeah, I want to move right now, you're like, cool, I'm right here. But you're also looking for future business. So, hey, just making a connection, a relationship, offering some longer term connection with those folks, whether that be a newsletter or an automated update on the value of their home, or just invitations to your parties and events. I mean, you can think about all kinds of different things, just growing your database of people. It'll open up your mind. You're looking for, if we're thinking of the funnel, you're looking for people at the lower part of the funnel who are ready to do something sooner, but you're also looking for people at the upper part of the funnel who are going to be longer term. And remember, if you add up enough of those people, you can create an incredible business. The PCSOI is the strongest, and just for fun, we'll just say about a 10% conversion per year. If you get that dialed in, remember the range is 5 to 20, but let's just say 10%. So if you have 100 people in there, you could have 10 closings. But up at the top of the funnel, if you get enough people that just kind of know you and you're just touching base with them every once in a while with some frequency, if you had, say, they convert at like 1%. So you need about 1,000 people up there to get your same 10 closings. But if you're meeting all these people anyway, you just talked to 20 yesterday. If you did that every day of the week, that's 100 people in 1 week. In 10 weeks, you'd have your 1,000 people if you were able to gather all their information for each person you talk to. Just trying to paint the picture for you that can actually fill up pretty quick. It's not undaunting. It's not impossible. So you want the PCSOI's strongest, best business, but don't forget about the second piece if the PCSOI is not providing enough closings for what you want to accomplish. Okay. And
Yeah,
you're doing a
100%.
great thing, Tristan. You're knocking the doors. You're meeting all these strangers, people that you didn't know before, and they're perfect for that top of the funnel.
Yeah, you're right.
Right, cool. Congratulations. Really proud of you for getting out there and knocking on doors yesterday. That's excellent work. Excellent work. Way to start, and the perfect time of the year. So many people are interested in doing something. All right, cool. So I'll go ahead and share some good news. So as you know, I'm tiptoeing around in the real estate, and I finally decided I would reach out to my PCSOI, and I sent out a postcard, and it hit yesterday, and I already got a call from somebody, which was really awesome. Somebody I hadn't heard from for a while, and it's the parent of one of my good friends from when I was growing up. And they reached out to have a little conversation. We were just chatting. We chatted for like 30 minutes while they were walking their dog. It was so much fun. They're just giving me the updates on what's happening. And then I said, oh, great. Well, let's do this again soon. And I'm wrapping up the call. And this guy said, yeah, you know what, Mike, we need to go have lunch because we got to talk. We may need to move. Just, you never know. You never know where things are going to come from. And if you don't reach out, nothing's going to come back, right? So be open to all those opportunities. Just as simple as this one was just, hey, I'm back in real estate, letting you know. I had no call to action, nothing else. Just want them to know I was back in it. And that's what he did. He called me and said, hey, I think I saw your picture. Just want to chat. All right, cool. All right. Anybody else have good news before we move on? All right, cool. All right, so remember what we like to do in our group, and we've learned from the top agents because they like to do it, and we try to mimic what they do, and because success leaves clues. We like to do event marketing, right? We like to do event marketing. We like, basically, another way to think about it is we like to just reach out to our people with frequency. We can do it the old-fashioned way through a cold call or a warm call and just say, hey, just reaching out to you. Have you been thinking about buying or selling real estate? Actually, not a bad question this time of year. You know, it's okay to do that every once in a while. The challenge is if you do it every 30 days, you're going to drive your people crazy with the same question. We're just doing it in a nicer, gentler, easier, fun way, which is we have events, little promotions, you know, things that are exciting to people in one way or the other, where it's not so direct and hardcore. So it's definitely softer and just more gentle. And so that's kind of the philosophy that we follow. Well, in that philosophy, today, now is the time. I keep wanting to say this over and over again. Right now is the time to get in front of our people, okay? Because we are in the spring market, and you want to come up with as many ideas as you can on how to get in front of them and stay in front of them. Now, don't feel shop worn, if you will, over the last couple months. If you've been doing promotions, you got to put that all out of your mind. Right now is the time to double down on everything. Get out there more frequently now. Things should be weighted to the front of the year for all of our markets. As far as I understand it, you're all like me, which is the spring is the hot market. Well, we're getting into the spring right now. This is March. So get in front of your people. Don't be afraid to reach out to them more often than you normally do. Reach out more now and then maybe less in the fall and the winter, okay? Because they are having conversations about moving. People are getting the spring fever. You know, Tristan just got out on the doors because the weather is getting better in his market. That's true with all of our markets. People are now getting antsy. They're thinking that this is just the way it works. They just start to get that mood. Well, you need to be right in front of them when they say, hey, I'm thinking about moving today. Like, hey, look here, I'm right here. I can help you. Okay. Don't make it hard for them. Make it easy for them to remember you and to reach out to you. Okay. So in that idea, you want to have things to do. And like right now, we're doing the St. Patrick's Day reach out. Some of you are. And I was inspired by Steve doing his cards the other day. And so I actually started writing up some cards yesterday. I'll share those real quick. So I just did a simple card. There's no St. Patty's Day or anything. It's just a blank. It's just a regular blank card, just a little animal on it. And I just had a little message inside. Super simple, super simple. All it says is the name of the folks. This was Chris and Kenya. It says, hey, happy St. Patrick's Day. Wishing you both the luck of the Irish and my name and company. And then I'm going to drop a little card in there for the scratch offs. And yes, you notice my handwriting is just awful. But anyway, I did that. And then for some other folks that I was writing up, I also added a little PS at the bottom. It's the exact same message, but a little personal PS. So for instance, these are my friends that moved away. They're not even in my state. Okay, but I know them really well and we've done business before. I said, hey, how's living in paradise? Because they moved to a very warm place. And still riding mountain bikes. I said, I am. Thanks for getting me into it, because this is my friend who got me into mountain bike riding. Right? It's just a connection. Just a connection. Don't be afraid to make these personal connections, even though it's business. Okay. Anyway, so who's putting together some cards still for the St. Patty's Day giveaway? Okay. Cool. All right. So Steve, you got yours out. Did you mail them already?
They are mailed. Now I'm like anticipating somebody phoning and saying, dude, I won $7,000. That'd be the bomb.
Right. Would that be sweet?
That'd be so awesome.
That would be fun. And then, by the way, if that does happen, be sure to document it and share it. Right?
Oh,
Social
yeah,
media or
for
something,
sure.
right?
Absolutely. That'd be a win for all. That'd be so amazing.
Try, and if it does happen, try to get it on video. Like run over to their house, with your your camera and just say, hey, can I get this on video? I just want to be, I'm so excited for you. Can I? And they're going to be excited. Say, hey, just tell everybody what happened. Just tell everybody what happened. Oh, well, Steve sent me this card and I scratched it off and oh, $7,000, right? Whatever. That wouldn't that be cool to put out there on social media? And now everybody wants to play and participate in your next event. It shows everybody you do what you say you're going to do. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that is kind of on the outlying objective ultimately, like number one, just to get that contact. Number two, if somebody won, that would be so cool. And then, yeah, like you say, like to really get out there, film it, highlight it, and like sharing the energy of it, the fun of it. That would be the best. That would be unreal. Yeah.
Absolutely. So if they did win, in this scenario, if they did win, then they're excited. By going out there and filming it and sharing it with everybody, now your whole group is energized. Everybody's excited about it, right? So you're looking for those leverage points. Just a little bit of extra time, another hour or two will leverage it to your whole group and give you another reason to reach out to your people right now, right? Just keep thinking of how can I reach out to my people right now? What can I tell them about? Cool. All right, good. Anybody else doing any kind of event during March?
So I'm working on the St. Patrick's Day cards. I went to Oklahoma. So while I was there for my closing, I got my Oklahoma scratchers and got some cards out, but still working to get the rest of them out today. But I was just thinking back, 22 years ago when I first got into real estate, I did spring seeds. So if you don't think you can get everything out in time for St. Patrick's Day, I'm pretty sure that you could do a personal note and put a little packet of seeds in it and just say, welcome spring, and something like that, and do something fun too. But that was a big hit back then, and I think it still would be.
That's an awesome one, the seeds. That's a great idea. Again, it's the old timers because it ties into the season. It's simple, right? Just have a little packet of seeds for flowers, or what kind of things were you giving away?
Flowers, yes.
Flowers, yep. So flowers, vegetables, just whatever. If they're not going to use it, they probably know somebody who will. They probably know a gardener.
Just a thought, but yeah, so there's actually quite a few opportunities here in the month of March. And we have the spring cleaning too, that is an option in RAMS.
That's exactly right. Good job, Angela. So if you can't think of anything, we've got the spring cleaning promotion where we give away a gift card for Amazon or Home Depot, whatever your local, you can use local or national, just a way for them to go pick up some items to spruce up their house, right? And you could do the lottery on that one, the raffle. Anyway, that's another good point. All right, good. Anybody else doing any other type of events for the spring that they'd like to share their idea?
I'll be doing a goat farm day. So I'll be doing that. I was just trying to think. We still haven't set a date, but I have some mamas that are about to deliver babies. Kids is what we call baby goats. So I'm going to have some kids here probably the last weekend in March. So it's time to go ahead and get this scheduled and actually send out some proper invitations. Last year I kind of threw it together more quickly and I did a sprint, but you may remember that I had a seller come to me at the end of the day as I was walking her and her son back to their car. She said, "Oh yeah, my husband said I need to talk to you about selling our house." Yes, we do need to talk. So, anyway, so that's my next thing is I need to schedule the spring goat day at the farm day at the goat farm.
Blake, that's awesome. And thank you for reminding us of these add-on conversations, these drop-in drop on or additional conversations that happen because we put ourselves in the place of opportunity. So your example was you did this whole event, and not until the very end, as you're walking someone out the door, did they say, oh, by the way, Blake, we're thinking about moving, right? Just like my conversation yesterday, I have a 30-minute conversation. I don't have any clue that they're thinking about moving. I'm trying to get off the phone. I'm like, hey, great, we'll talk again soon. Hope you're having a great day. I got to run. He's like, yeah, but Mike, we need to have lunch because I got to talk to you about moving. So these you have to get into the position where you can let people open up. Right? Cool. And these do it. All right, excellent. All right, excellent. Well, that's going to be the idea there for events. Remember, you have the quick start guide to get you through that. Everybody has access to that, right? Okay, the quick start guide walks you through how to do these events. I know Yevon, who's with us today, but his tech is a little bit slow. He did the event last month for the giveaway for St. Valentine's Day and had good success with it. We'll have to, when he gets his tech up, we'll have to get the follow-up to see if he's gotten any business out of that. I know he had a huge response. I think it was 600 people ended up participating in that through the social media. That's pretty incredible. So it's all about reach out right now, and it's your job. Whose job is it to reach out to your past clients, a sphere of influence? Yeah, don't ever forget that. We love when they walk up to us when we haven't had to do anything. We didn't. There was nothing that we promoted. They just came to us, like the deal that I'm working on now. They just happened to pop up and find me. Thank goodness. But that's rare. I shouldn't have had to make them jump through so many hoops to try to find me. How difficult. So make sure that we're out there in front of them, because you just don't know what day they're going to wake up and say, it's time to move. It's time to move. They might get frustrated with something. They might get excited about something. Life events happen, right? And they may have just hit a breaking point or a changing point, and we want to be around when that happens. All right, good. What else do we have here? I think that's it for right now. Does anybody else have any questions they have about production that they want us to address today that we haven't addressed? How to sell more homes.
I have one. It's just a thought that I had. It's a kind of a theory and a hypothesis at this point, but maybe I'm looking for confirmation. But the hypothesis or the theory is that you can brute force your way to success. And I think I've been like, I'm not the most organized kind of dude or like the most like systems kind of dude, but I know like I have like stamina and like physical capabilities from playing sports that a lot of other people don't have. So I'm curious if my theory of just like brute forcing my way into deals by just having hundreds of conversations will pan out, or am I foolish by not being more systematic or efficient?
I think you absolutely can brute force your way into success, as you put it. Yeah, you can basically work harder than everyone else. And in fact, you can, if you're willing to work harder and get into more conversations, you can be bad. You can be less talented than everyone else in your actual delivery. Does that make sense? Like your skill level, you always want to raise your skill level. Like Tristan, we were talking about your script earlier, right? And you're working your script, you're working a new script and a new approach. And by the way, you want to look for that, right? Like you're a soccer player. You're always looking for a better way to kick the ball in or to get around the other player or to do maybe a defensive move. Or I'm sure there are a lot of different strategies you start to think about as you're playing the game. After the game, you think, boy, next time I want to do it this way or that way. Same approach you should have to the doors, which is you're going to change your script and so forth. But what I'm saying is, like, if I were going to go knock on a door and I knocked on one door and I was only going to knock on one door, boy, I better nail my script. I better not screw it up if I'm going to create an opportunity here. But if you knock on 100 doors and your script doesn't have to be perfect, you're just going to bump into people that just like you. They're going to be similar to you. They're going to connect with you because you're opening up the numbers, the options. The odds go in your favor by knocking on 100 doors versus me only knocking on one. And over time, you doing 100 doors and me only doing one, you're going to way outperform me. And you're going to way outperform 99% of the people in your market because they don't knock on any doors. So they don't have any conversations. They're just waiting for things to find them. Like I got lucky and one found me. And then I think, well, that's going to happen again. The odds are that's not going to happen again. That was just a fluke, right? You're going to go out and make it happen. And so the whole prospector's premise, right? The whole people who go out and knock on doors, make phone calls, they're actively reaching out to people in a systematic way. By the way, you're doing it systematically in that regard. That's their whole premise, is that if they hit enough numbers, they will find the people that they need to. And they are forcing it to happen. They are making it happen. And so your theory there is absolutely correct. I 100% agree with it. Just remember, when it's cold, when it's strangers, you have to do a lot of numbers to find the people. And you should add the strategies, the two ideas here of one, I'm looking for current business, but I'm also looking for long-term business. You know, long-term business, people could say, yeah, I'm going to move in a year, and you put them on your list and they end up moving in 2 months because something changed in their life. But because you were connected to them, you found them before everybody else. In fact, getting to them before everybody else is a super strong value. And nobody, by the way, is perfectly systematized. You know, we have theories, and then there's the application, right? We have a dream of how we want to run our business, and then the reality of how we want to run our business. Like I'm trying to do all my business within the hours of 8 to 5. And I had a deadline yesterday for an inspection notice, and the buyer's agent sent it to me at 6:30. And it has a time, it's like the end of the time. And so tomorrow's our last day, and I can't just sit on that. I have to get it over to my client. So I zipped it over to him and I sent him a text, and I'm like, we'll talk about it in the morning. And of course he can't because he's got a bajillion things going on. And I'm like, all right. So I had to spend like 10 minutes texting back and forth to clarify some things in his mind so he could go to sleep, right? Yeah, because it was driving him nuts. So I had to go outside of my dream, my ideal time frame. You have to make exceptions. There are going to be exceptions. I don't know. Is any of this helping?
Yeah, big time. Thanks a lot for giving that insight, Mike.
You bet, Tristan. Yes, you can absolutely brute force yourself into success. A lot of people have done it. My first thought when you said it was I always go back to Freud Candelario, who I heard about 25, 30 years ago. And just an incredible story if you've never heard it. Freud was an immigrant from, I believe it was Mexico. I know it was somewhere south of the border. Crazy story. Grew up dirt poor, literally lived in like a cave with a donkey. You know, I mean, I can't make this stuff up, right? This is his origin story. Comes to America, very low education. But he has drive. He wants to make it, and he's late teens, early 20s, and he goes to a Mike Ferry meeting. Someone brings him there, and he's speaking broken English, and he's basically asking Mike Ferry what to do. And Mike Ferry says, well, you know, knock on doors, talk to people. Here's a script. You know, here's what you do. And the guy said, no understand, no comprende. Or, you know, he's like, I don't understand. And Mike Ferry says, knock on doors. He's like, what? Knock on doors. Knock on doors all day long. Knock on doors all day long. Knock on doors all day long. Right? Well, that got into him. And this dude did that. That's all he did. 7, 8 hours a day. Knock on doors. Knock on doors. Knock on doors. And he ended up knocking on with this. Fast forward, he would end up knocking on doors through 6 to 7 cities at a time. Over the course of a year, he would just circle through the cities around him, right? And did it work? The dude started selling 300-400 homes a year. Right? Last I heard, now fast forward through time, he knocked on doors for like 15, 20 years. And then he realized his legs were getting tired. So he started to do phones. And so his simple system on phones, he doesn't do a dialer. He just does two phones, one in each hand. And somehow he hand dials, and I don't know, some weird system where he's hand dialing to meet people. Okay. Right. Sounds insane, right? But if I heard correctly, and maybe I'm wrong, I believe his GCI was 30 million a year. Okay. Because he's in a very high priced market. He's over in California. And just, you're like, that's crazy. Okay. You don't care if you think it's crazy. He's brute forced his way into success, hasn't he? There's a lot of different ways to win in this business. We're going through RAMS because we believe it's a simpler, easier, proven way to do it, but it's not the only way.
And I had a couple of thoughts too. You can have the most perfect system in place, but if you're not taking any action and getting in front of people and talking to people, it does not matter. You won't sell a single thing. But you can, if you're just getting out there and talking to people, sell stuff. So I would choose having action and no systems over systems and no action. And systems you can keep adding as you are building your business. You add a system. You're not going to have it overnight. It's going to, evolve over time. So I think you are doing the right thing, just getting out there and meeting people.
Perfect, perfect, Angela. Absolutely agree. Going back to the Mike Ferry example, you all know I really like and admire, and I love Mike Ferry. He's just an amazing guy. He's helped so many people. You can love him or hate him, but I love him just because he's helped so many people move forward. And one of the things always stuck in my mind that he told us way back there in the early days when it came to this idea was, he said, look, if you get in the front of enough people, it's all going to work out. He said, even if your technique is terrible, and he tried to go to an extreme, and I love picture words and extremes. I'll never forget what he said. He said, even if you walked up and puked on everybody, just puked on them, he said, somebody's going to turn around and go, that's cool. I like you. And you're going to get a connection. So that you can go through the numbers. Just go through the numbers. All right. Good question. All right. Anybody else have a dying question you got for us for today? All right, we're going to wrap this up then. Thank you for being here for the production call. We'll go into our quick huddle. And again, in our huddle, we're trying to get focused for the day. And so we're asking two things. One, we want to feel good about what we did yesterday. So what's the number one thing we did yesterday to move our business? And then number two is what's the number one thing we're going to do today to move ourselves forward? So it's a real quick little thought. Who would like to start? Number one thing you did yesterday, number one thing you're going to do today.
Number one thing yesterday was hitting the doors. Number one thing for today is to redesign my business card. So I'm gonna borrow from the design of the person on my team that I think is better than mine and just kind of go off of her template to improve that and see if I can get better results.
Cool. Quick idea on business cards. The front has all your contact information, maybe your picture. The back sides are usually blank. You can put an offer on the back side. Free market analysis, like you're knocking on doors, maybe free market analysis or free list of homes. I used to have it out on the back of my business cards. What's Blake got there? I'm trying to read it, Blake. Ask me for a free, say something, Blake, so you'll come on the screen.
It's I guess you can't read it, but it says, ask me for a free pro market analysis for your home. Seriously, comma, it's free. That's on the back of my card.
That is awesome. Good job, Blake. I like how Blake did it super simple. It's just words, right? Mine, I had two boxes, one for sellers, one for buyers, and then I had a little call to action and a way to get back. I like Blake's. It's nice. It's much simpler than what I had. And Blake, has anybody ever responded to that?
No, not specifically, I don't think. No one said, hey, by the way, I saw on the back of your card. but I think it still sets the tone for a couple of things. First off, it sets that I'm not, even though I say seriously, comma, it's free. I think that sets kind of a casual, we're buddies. It's okay, kind of thing. And then it reminds people this is not a seller's message. I mean, this is a seller's message, not a buyer's message. It kind of reminds people, yeah, I sell houses and I'd like to sell your house. It's really intended to catch potential listings.
I love it. It's free. It's free to you. You already made the card. Now it's free advertising. And you're planting a seed. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but it didn't cost you anything other than a little bit of time to put it on the back. And you watch over time, it's going to result in something, whether you knew it happened or not. So that's cool. Good job. All right, Tristan, good luck redesigning your card. There's a quick idea. All right, next, who would like to share the one thing they did yesterday and one thing they're going to do today to move their business forward? Number one thing.
I'll share. Yesterday was getting that deal put together. That was huge. And celebrating my Kobe Bryant anniversary with my business partner and wife, Monica. So 24 years yesterday. That's probably the biggest one because we got to be like this in our business and our marriage. And we had a really nice anniversary yesterday.
Congrats.
Today is following up with a young couple that we sat down with last week. We connected them with our financing person, and I want to have that conversation with our financing guru today and say, hey, how are we coming? Are we looking good? Let's move this forward. So that's top list for me today.
That's perfect, Steve. And it's another great reminder to reconnect with our significant other and the people that are important in our life, because that's why we're doing this whole thing, isn't it? Sometimes we forget that, and we don't want to lose sight of it. Good job, Steve. Good job. All right, good. Who's next?
I was at the doctor yesterday, waiting in the lobby with a cough and mask and everything because I was worried about getting people sick. And ran into a friend who was also there because he had a bad cough. So we chatted for a moment and he asked me, how's real estate? So, even in the waiting room at the doctor's office, I had a conversation about real estate. So I guess that was my number one thing yesterday. Today, I should have already done this, but I had an open house on Sunday, and I am going to follow up with the three parties that came through uh, the house. I got them all to register, and so I have their contact info. None of them were ready to do anything, but I need to follow up with them. Thank them for coming to the open house. And if I can help them in any way, please let me do that.
Perfect. Perfect, Blake. Good job. Good job having conversations wherever you're at, being open to opportunity. All right. That was the doctor's office. And then the reach back outs to the leads, the people that come to your open house. I'm coaching another person who had an open house, had a lot of success, got some leads, was a little nervous about reaching out to some potential seller leads. Did it anyway, picked up a seller and a buyer. The whole package is going to be over 2 million bucks, right, in sales volume. So don't be afraid about making those calls, right? And she didn't think there was anything there, right? Turns out there was. Only one way to find out. Brute force your way in there, Tristan. Make a reach out. All right, good. Next.
I'm not sure if Yevon can share his maybe in the chat, but I'll share mine. So I worked my cards yesterday, gonna finish and get my St. Patrick's Day cards out today. And Mike, can you stay for like 5 minutes after the call? I have something I wanted to pick your brain on.
Sure, sure. All right, cool. All right, Yevon, I don't know. It's up to you if you want to chime in, if you think you can. If not, that's okay. We'll move on. All right, we'll keep going. All right, so I'll share real quick. Number one thing I did yesterday, I think, was do these little cards. as far as moving my business forward. And today I'm going to be negotiating an inspection notice. I'd like to just give a little idea that I have. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'd like to give just kind of a thought for you. I thought there was something I'd share with you. So we're probably like every other market. You have an inspection. They may throw something up and ask you to do something, and then you negotiate it and you either come to a resolution or you don't. In my situation, they gave us a gigantic list of items, a massive, I mean, unbelievable, like so ugly. You're like, what's going on here? And so my seller, of course, was taken back by that. And I had to think about it for a second. So let me just lay this out real fast. It'll only take 1 minute here. But in my market, if the buyer wants to get out of the deal during the inspection, all they got to do is fill out one little piece of paper and sign it, and they're done. Now, every market's different, but in my market, for an inspection notice, they don't have to give a objection and ask you to make repairs. They can just say, we're done, it's over. It's a termination clause, okay? And what these folks did was they gave us this laundry list of things to do. So what I had to tell my client is sometimes it's not what people say, the laundry list. It's what they don't say, the termination. So remember that in negotiation, these people did not terminate. Even though they gave a laundry list, which is a ridiculous list and will never be, that's not going to fly. So it's just, we're talking like 30, 40 items. It was a crazy list, okay? Even though that's not going to happen, they're still at the table, okay? So my theory of the case is they still want to talk. We'll work this out. Maybe it won't, maybe it will, maybe it won't. I'll let you know in the future. But my point to you is just the idea that it's not always what people say, it's what they don't say. Okay? So keep that in mind as you're going through negotiations. Was that helpful? All right, cool. All right, thank you so much for being here for our production call and our huddle. It was a lot of fun. I hope everybody has a wonderful and productive rest of their day.
Have a great day, everyone.
See you, Tristan.